Hey, I'm here. Wait a minute. I got to get rid of this. There we are. Oops. Oop. Got to get rid of that too. Hide the ticker. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody? Comments. Hello. Oops. I just can't spell this morning. Pardon me. Hello, everybody over on Clapper. Let me adjust this. Excuse me, right there. I need to. There we go. I'm not picky for a lot of things, but those things that I am picky, I'm really picky. How's everyone this morning? I'm going to dial that back a little bit. Oh, it's gorgeous outside today. It's what is it? It's 58 out on my front porch right now. 58. That means it's almost 60 at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm really excited. I'm afraid, however, that just means that we're about to have another cold spell. Because if the magnolia tree is blooming, then it's time for a cold spell so that it turns this really gross, nasty brown and the poor little blossoms fall all over the place and you slide and slip. And we were over on the good morning, Ronaldo. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We were talking about religion over on the Telegram. I don't necessarily want to get into that here because that will kind of hijack just by the nature of the topic. And I had some things I want to go over today. So if you'll bear with me just for 5 seconds, we will get started. All right then, friends. Hello. It is episode 38 of the Holstein House podcast. It is February 21st, 2023. And today is my 58th birthday. Thank you very much. I never thought that when I had my 58th birthday that I would be doing a live stream. Oh, the video froze. Still? It's delayed. Wonder what's causing that this morning. I don't have anything exciting going on, I don't think. I don't have anything. Oh, maybe I have the television stream. That shouldn't do it though. I don't know if I can switch this without losing the stream. Hopefully I did not lose the stream. I'll turn this off here and do that and see if that resolves it a little bit. If that fixes it, then I know what it was. I also have Telegram open back here, so I need to close that. That's the point. Exactly. Brain fuel. Okay. So again, welcome. Pardon me while I do this. So I have allergies. Okay. Let's just how do they say it? I can't think of the phrase I'm trying to think of now. It means push on, but that's not the phrase I'm looking for. Anyway, let's just get on with the show. How's that? First off, if you didn't get a chance to see the Tim Cook's the Toolman Tim's Workshop live radio program over the weekend, you got to get over there and good. I'm going to put a link in the description here on YouTube, and you just got to get over there and check that out. It was really, really interesting. I played it the other day. I wasn't able to watch it live. There's enough of a time difference between Tim's place and mine that it makes it fairly late in the evening when these things happen. And my days are fairly routine, and there's certain things that I have to get done by a certain time, or it just gets all messed up. But if you get a chance, it's Toolman Tim's workshop over on YouTube, and it was just a blast to do. I forget how many hours worth of programming he had on there, and he and Nicole from Living Free in Tennessee were kind of co-hosting it and introducing spots and talking about things afterwards. It was really interesting. He had a pretty good lineup, pretty good, just pretty good. He had Jack Spirko, Tag from Life Done Free, John Willis of SOE Tactical, and Paul Wheaton, and a few others. And I was on there for a few minutes. I put together some clips of shows that I've done. So it was fun to listen to. It was really fun to just turn it on the background like, you used to. But I still do. I still listen to radio all the time. So, have it on the background so that you can be doing other things while you're listening. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of good topics, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think about. So it was a really good time. So thank you again, Tim Cook, for setting that up and doing it. It was really great. It was really great. So just things around here. The contractor stopped by yesterday evening. We had the rails on the front porch off. Some of you guys are really tired of hearing about the front porch, but the old columns had began to rot and had ants in them. And when we had the hard freeze and the quick thaw over Christmas, it really exposed one of the weak places in one of the columns on a corner of the porch. It started to sink kind of quick. It was coming loose, and the quick freeze and thaw just absolutely blew it up, and it was coming apart. So we had to quickly get that replaced, and the contractor come out and put I got composite posts with steel inserts in the middle. So it's kind of like steel post with a composite cover on it. So we've got those up, and we were going to try to use our old handrails because they seem to still be in decent shape, but they are wood, and we would need a bracket, either try to create some kind of bracket or to find a bracket. I spent 3 or 4 weeks looking at different sites trying to find a bracket that would match the shape of the handrail so that it would connect to the handrail and then connect to the post. And I just couldn't find it. So I got a hold of the contractor. I said, just come over and measure and let's put some composite rails up. I wanted a solid porch. I wanted to have a beadboard so that you couldn't see into the bottom of the porch. So give you a little feel of privacy on the porch, but I couldn't find anything that would fit. So he measured everything, and the edges of the porch are 8 feet. In the panels that I was talking about only come in 4 or 6 foot pieces, and even if we tried to match them up, we end up having to put an additional post in, and then we still have to try to rig because it doesn't come out even. And they're fairly expensive, so you end up losing 3/4 of one because of the way you have to cut. It just was the way he explained it to me. I'm not very good at explaining back, but it made perfect sense because you have to get 2 smaller ones and try to piece them together, but they're not going to piece exactly right. So you're going to have to trim pieces off of each of the smaller ones to make them fit, plus have a post in the middle and then have some, and it just was going to get to be a nightmare. So we went with a more traditional square post handrail composite. It's going to be kind of pricey, but I won't have to worry about the rot anymore. I won't have to paint them. I just have to scrub them up, make sure they're stay scrubbed up. they're going to be, with the labor material, it's going to be about $3,000. And I just almost died, but that's labor and materials. Materials being the worst part of it, but once it's done, it won't have to be done again. It'll never have to be done again. And should the porch actually start rotting underneath it, then the rails will still be able to be used either by us, probably won't be us, but by us or the next people who live here. The old rails might go on the back porch. I haven't decided yet. They're still usable, even they'll have to be trimmed up a little bit. There's a little bit of rough rot, not really bad, kind of a little bit of squishy where it was connected to the other to the columns, and it was a little water got back in there because you can't paint all of it. So anyways, there's a couple little spots that would need some cosmetic work, so they wouldn't be exactly the same size as they wouldn't exactly fit the same size as they fit before, because you're gonna have to trim off, maybe that much or so. But we'll find a use for them. We'll find a use for them. But we decided to go with the more traditional porch railings, square, white, really basic. I wanted something a little more time period relevant to the house. That's as close as we're going to be able to come without, spending a lot trying to go back to like some kind of historical architectural redesign kind of people. And we don't have that kind of money. We don't have that kind of money. So it's going to take a couple weeks for everything to get in, and he'll be able to start shortly after. It shouldn't be more than a day or so. He just needs some decent weather to put those up, and it'll be all okie dokie. Good morning, Renegade. Are you coming over here to stir up trouble? Josh is. Unfortunately we've been teaming up on Brian over at the Lots Project of the morning sometimes, getting Brian all off track. Good to see you there. I missed you because I was looking at something else while I was looking at my script. I was reading my script, keeping my notes there. So the progression away from DirecTV, we'll move on to that because that's part of what's going on here at the house, is still, we're still doing that. We have, we found several links of cable, and Mr. Holstein got out his tools to put new ends on it. We're going to work on getting that antenna hooked up maybe this weekend. I want to do it this weekend, but I have that ham radio test this weekend. And I really want to get that knocked out. Do I think I'll pass? I don't know. I haven't really studied much. I really have to buckle down, but I have a lot going on around other than that with the church and stuff. And I just don't know if I can get it done or not. I did stop by T-Mobile. I don't know if I shared that with you on Friday or not. I didn't. No, I hadn't gone by there because Friday I had an early show because I had that appointment. The appointment went fine. No big deal. I did stop by T-Mobile after my appointment. They do have a really decent 55 plus plan. I can get unlimited data and stuff, and still I can have a step down for the husband because he doesn't use data the way that I do in streaming because of the nature of some of the things that I stream the church services and stuff for the church and the Facebook Live, and been streaming the Bible study videos that we're doing using my phone as the hotspot and stuff for the church. So I'm a heavy user. I also use it for my notary work a lot of times. I have a secondary phone for that as well, but I do a lot of work with that phone, with my personal phone as well, because it has apps on it that my other phone doesn't have. So But I did talk to them. There is a $20 option for my mother-in-law and for my dad that will allow them talk and text only. Of course, Dad and Pansy, they don't text anyway. So it would be that would be a good plan for them. And then Mr. Holstein and I would have the 55 plus plans. Hello, everybody over on Clapper. Nice to have you join. Good to see you. So, scheduling has been a nightmare for me. Getting things, the problem comes in, and I'll talk about it a little more later, with some of the things that's been going on at the church. They're not awful, it's just changes, things that's been happening, and it's really affected my ability to get stuff scheduled. I'm not such a scheduled person that I don't have any flexibility, but I've just been hit from all different directions in the past few weeks, and it's just really, really messed me up. One of the things that I hope is going to streamline my videos and stuff, I've changed the way that I outline my script. I do use a cheat sheet kind of thing, and I've been using it on Google Docs because it's just I can get easily to Google Docs anywhere. I hate using Google, really, I do, but honestly, it's the thing. I can get to it on my phones, I can get to it on my tablets, I can set my phone down here, go in there and sit down at the tablet, use it within seconds. I can go down to the bunker and use it, I can sit here at the table and use it, and it just is streamless, and it just works very well. But I've changed I've changed the view a little bit so that I'm looking at the outline. I've done some bookmarking on the sheet so that I can hop better and scroll better, and hopefully that'll help some stuff here. It's a little, I back the view off about something. I mean, this is all a little bit of inside baseball, but it is making it a little easier for me to review my notes, and topics and things that I want to cover, maybe so that I can get through these things in a little video frozen often on your side. Oh yeah, Renegade or Josh, is the video locking up on you? I'm not getting any notice that it is. I haven't seen anything that it is. I've taken my Clapper stream and put it on the cellular instead of my Wi-Fi, so it shouldn't be interfering at all there. So I don't know. I'm not seeing any trouble. Occasionally freezing a bit. I wonder what's causing that. I don't think I have anything going on here that hasn't been going on before. I don't have anything. We'll see. I guess it just could be stupid internet. It used to be Suddenlink. I always called it Sudden Stink. But now it's Optimum. I think it's called Optimum. A lot of internet congestion. Yeah, it could be. I would have expected that yesterday with the holiday, with everybody off work and all the kids off school and stuff. But I usually have killer internet, unless Sling TV demands more bandwidth than DirecTV, but I wouldn't think that. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Next time I'll turn off Sling TV and see if, but that could maybe not be it, and then I could turn it off, and then anyway, I'll try to slow down a little bit. Maybe I'm just moving too fast for the camera. Sorry about that. I'm trying to catch my place up. So I've got to get a hold of, I've got the outline a little better. I think it's going to help me move through the topics that I have a little quicker. Unfortunately, the dog is barking. He usually does that with a cat. Hang on a second. Okay, hopefully that'll help. The clapper stream is full of people saying filthy stuff, so I'm not gonna pay attention to that very much. That's what I was afraid of when I started the clapper account, was that it was because there are those people that's just what they like to do. They just like to be nasty. It's not what I'm into, people. Y'all can do that all day long. I'm not into it. I have the calendar a little jacked up on Holstein House. I've got to reach out to the wife of one of someone who reached out to me about her husband's working in the area and she was wanting to get lodging for him. I've got to reach out to her because she said she had something worked out for this week. Well, I've got it. It's going to be a couple weeks before I have continuous dates open. Because I have the odd guest in March that's breaking up the week. So her husband wouldn't be able to stay. Like he would come in for a week, then have to be gone for a day and then come back. And people, you don't want to do that. I don't usually take long-term guests. It's not that I can't. It's just I just don't normally do it. And if you need long-term, then you kind of need to get in earlier. As soon as you think you're going to be in the area, check the calendar and get it booked, because otherwise you're going to have that odd. I had that with the young lady, the traveling nurse, who needed, I think she had 12 weeks left on her rotation in the area. And in that 12 weeks, she ended up with a day where I already had someone who had booked a long time ago. She was able to work her schedule around that so that she took her days off around that date. And so we were able to get it to work out pretty well. But it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating when you're trying to book long term. And that's what we run into. I've also started to, we're just coming out of what's called a low season. A lot of B&Bs will have this, especially through the winter, because people aren't traveling as much. So you end up with a low season, and that's where I'm at now. Just maybe coming up out of that a little bit. And I appreciate the low season. I like to have my calendar closed during the low season so that I can get some rest as well, because I struggle with overbooking myself and getting myself overcommitted, and then I just have to back up and stop and rest. And we saw that last week when I got the headache, and I went to bed at 6:30 at night, got up at 5 in the morning. I almost had 12 hours of sleep because I was just overwhelmed and just exhausted from all of that. I do have the rest of this week, the calendar's blocked off because of some of the things that I'm trying to get done here. Switching over out of the winter holidays into St. Patrick's Day and spring and things like that. I'm trying to get, and the issue with the front porch, getting that taken care of, because it's kind of a dangerous thing, but most people aren't sitting on the front porch right now this time of year anyway. Hipcamp, I told you guys last week, I think on Friday, I talked to you a little bit about Hipcamp, that I've set an account with Hipcamp and going to take a few people there. I now that I've done it, I posted a picture of the area where the tent camping would be, and the parking area where if you're a camper van or traveling or whatever, and you're stopping there, that part won't change. The tent camp one, though, I keep throwing this through my brain. Of course, now that the picture's up there and I've got the description up there, I'm thinking, you know what? A better spot of the yard might be over here. Not, I know you can't see where I'm pointing, but I do have an area of the yard which might be better suited for it. It's closer to the street, yet it's you can still get far enough back off the street. You know, you're not right up against it. In theory, I could put 2 spaces there. I could have 2 different people with 2 different tents, and but that may be a little bit of a stretch. I'm not a campground, but it's an area where you would be able to see your vehicle better. I could do a little better with keeping the guest off the chicken coop, you know. So I'm thinking it now again that maybe I didn't think this through very well. It's okay, Josh. I understand, Josh. We'll see you later. Run an internet speed test. I don't like to run internet speed tests. A lot of internet. Audio is perfect this side as well, but just the video is bad. Well, maybe it's just I'm not worth looking at today. We all have those days. And it could be this machine. It could be this machine. I don't think I have anything unusual plugged into it, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's going on with it. I appreciate you guys letting me know, though. I just don't have a quick answer for it. I've run the clapper before. I don't know. So the Hipcamp, I'm starting to think I've got a different idea for it. I do have what I need coming for the rest area. The portable toilet. I've got a seat for the portable toilet. I've got a hand washing station. The stuff to put one together coming. I have the portable pop-up thing. I have some tent stakes because those little aluminum hook things that they put in the ground, they don't hold squat. What else? There was something else. Now I can't remember. Oh, bags for the toilet. So that whoever stays will be able to wash their hands up. Locating that is now if I move the tent space, then the travel van people might have. See, now I'm starting to think this through a little too much. It's getting. I had an idea, but now I'm out of whack again. So the toilet, the portable toilet, the hand washing station, and the pop up, they're on the way. They're on the way. I can require guests to have their own, but I just don't want them using the yard. I just don't want them to use the yard. The garden area, I haven't seen that hawk. I talked about the hawk that had been visiting the backyard. I haven't seen it this week since at least Saturday. So I think it's probably moved on. And that was what I was suspecting anyway, is that it was a young hawk probably migrating. And so it's starting to move back up this way from and I know they're not like the migratory birds because we keep some here all year round. But I know that they do have, some of them have some migratory patterns, especially those youngins when they're trying to find their own space. The goal status, the ham general license, the ham technician license is coming up on Saturday. I'm still planning on trying that if I can get it, because there's limited seating. It's first come, first seated. If I can get in there Saturday morning, I do want to go in and take that exam. I've really got to work on some of the tests. I've got the audio book I've been listening to off and on, but I haven't actually took practice tests yet. I need to do that. The old doghouse roof. Remember, we call that the building that's over beside the house a doghouse. It's not really. It's a small single unit living quarter. But we haven't started on the roof, but the same contractor that's working on the porch gave us an estimate yesterday on re-roofing the whole structure because it just needs it, and it's going to be around 8 grand. 8 grand. It's just going to be awful. We paid 8 grand to have this entire house roof redone, and it has all these weird angles and windows and stuff. And this is just a simple flat, almost flat roof, and it's going to be 8 grand. But there's a lot of reframing that's going to have to be done because there's a lot of rot in there. So yeah, inflation's really a thing, and and costs are up. Part of that roof is almost flat, and so we're going to use a rubber roofing instead of what's there now because it just tends to kind of set there. Um, to repitch it would be weird. You'd have to take like the entire roof off and just rebuild the whole roof, and you would have to redo. There's a very nice fireplace in there. You'd have to redo the chimney for that. Um, he explained it. And like I said earlier when I was talking about our porch, I don't explain things back very well. So he explained it, perfect sense, understand. I mean, he has an idea of what he's doing, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's going to be at least April before I can build back up after putting the money into the front porch. It will be I'll have to rebuild that pot of money. So that will probably be around April before we are able to go on that. I have added some time to I've adjusted the calendar for the Airbnb to get more guests in because that was a goal to get more guests in. I had the calendar set up so that you had to have 2 nights in a row on the weekends, and I had the rates up a little bit because I kind of didn't really want people coming, but I needed the rest. So, but now I'm okay. I've reduced the rate a little bit, but I also adjusted the calendar. I still have you can't book the day you check in. So if you wanted to come in today, you can't because you would have had to have registered yesterday. And some people do play that by checking or reserving the room like at 11:30 at night. And so I wake up in the morning and I have someone coming in the afternoon. I just have to be very good about knowing when I have medical appointments, when I have to take dad places, and making sure I keep those calendars up to date so that I don't run into a big problem. And then with some of the things with the church that's going on, good things that are going on with the church, then I have to make sure that I'm free and able to take care of those too. Put a little more cash into the Bitcoin Go. Yeah, I kind of did that because I used the fold card to pay for the things that I ordered for the Hipcamp portable toilet. And so I got some Satoshis back on that, and I'd spun the wheel and I got greedy on one of them, and I ended up losing my 1% back and got a 0.5% back. I was up to 1.5% back, and I thought I'm going to try one more spin, and I did one more spin and got a half. So I got a little greedy on that, and that's what I get. But that's part of life. Part of life. I've got to get a little more cash put in there. I haven't decided which way I'm going to do it yet. Moving stuff up on the cloud. I still need to order the USB tower. I haven't done that yet. My notary signing agent work, I'm having trouble getting some of my documentations loaded because I'm using a VPN here at Holstein House. And the VPN changes the IP address all the time. And so I get a notice that says, hey, you've never logged in from there before. Okay, this. So you hit okay. It emails you a link to use. And then when you use the link, it says, hey, you've never used this IP address before because it's constantly changing it. I can use my phone. If I take my phone off the Wi-Fi, I can do it that way. But my phone is so tiny that it just is a nightmare to try to do it that way. So I haven't decided exactly. So some of them I've not been able to get uploaded. Let's see. Oh, it's 10:35. It's 10:35. I have not said this yet, people. Sorry, I forgot. I have mentioned that this is episode 38 of the Holstein House podcast, but I haven't mentioned that it premiered on the Fountain.fm app. And that's my favorite podcasting app. I love it because it's part of the Value for Value exchange. And if you find things that I say are valuable to you or interesting to you or something you didn't know before, something that made you angry or something that made you giggle, and you'd like to share back a little bit, you can do that with the Value for Value exchange. And I would appreciate it. If you did, that would just be so sweet. So sweet. So, oh, let's see. I got that. I got that. I got that. I got that. There's nothing exciting to tell you about Bob or Betty, the dogs. Don't forget, you only have a few more days. Don't forget, February is my birthday month. And in fact, today is the day. Today is birthday number 58 for me. And I'm fine with that. I've never had an issue with my birthday. Maybe when I hit 25 and maybe when I hit 50, because at 25 I was a quarter of a century old and at 50 I was half a century old. So I kind of had a little heartburn with those, but I'm 58 this time. I don't really care. I don't really care. It's okay. I I it it's I don't want to say it's just a number because it's really not just a number, because your body, we are designed to, from the moment of conception, we are in process of reaching, of dying. So even though at conception we're growing and we're growing, we're always working towards that end time. And I get it. And so it's more than a number. So people who say, "Oh, age is just a number," no, it's more than a number. I could be, and okay. Let's say that I was a 1965 Mustang. Okay, 1965 Mustang. If I was a 1965 Mustang with 15,000 miles on it, it would be great. Oh, it'd be awesome. Everybody would want it. If I'm a 1965 Mustang with 300,000 miles on it, it's not going to be the same. Even if the outside looks all right, the inside's either been rebuilt a few times or are in pretty bad shape. So no, it is more than a number. And I'm not a big fan. 30 plus excludes you from the U crowd. Oh, 30 was a shot. Oh, hey Jackie. I'm trying to catch up because I was reading. Glad to see you, Jackie. Thank you for the happy birthday. Give Robert a kiss for me because you can do that. I can't. Give him a hug and tell him I said happy birthday from me. And 30 was a shock. It wasn't so much for me. 30 wasn't. Like I said, 25 and 50 were the big ones because they represented portions of a century from the young crowd. Yeah, but the young crowd is 23-year-olds are being considered children in today's world. Ronaldo. We've got 23-year-olds crying because they can't pay back their student loan debts. I'm sorry, get a job. If you can't find a job as a 20th century art historian, then sling hamburgers or something. Shoney's up the streets looking for servers and cooks all the time. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay your bills. So we're calling these 20-somethings children, and that they're not old enough to, they're not mature enough to do certain things, and then we turn around and never mind. Never mind. I don't want to go there today. I don't want to go there today. But anyway, so don't forget, February is my birthday month, and if you direct book only for Holstein House, you use the promo code BD for birthday, BD10, you will get 10% off the regular room rate at Holstein House. You'll also have the opportunity, if you want it, to have West Virginia's own Hall's chocolates and West Virginia's own Coal River coffee, freshly ground just before brewing, if you want it. We also have a Keurig machine if you'd rather. So direct book guests using the promo code can have those. Go to robinholstein.com, choose Holstein House from the menu, use the link to check the dates of availability. And when you book, direct book, you will see the options there. And don't forget, as you check out, when it says promo code BD10. BD10. So there are, it's getting to the time of the year, like I said earlier, that people are starting to travel a little more. And I thought that I would try to include a line on things to do in this general area, things to do around Holstein House. And one of the first things I'm going to offer you in the way of things to do around here is not directly here. I mean, you can't walk to it. You'd have to drive to it. But it came up in my Facebook feed because of some of the high water that we've had recently. And I thought, you know what? Here's a good time to share for those of you who may be kayakers or rafters. We have a thing, and you can get to it just about 20 minutes from here. It's called the Tour, T-O-U-R, Tour de Coal, D-E-C-O-A-L. And it's a float trip or a kayak trip down the Coal River. It's Tour de Coal is a kayak float on the actual thing. I mean, you can float the Coal River all the time, but is the Tour de Coal is an actual float trip on the Coal River Water Trail. It's about a 12-mile float trip. It starts at Meadowood Park and finishes in St. Albans. So Meadowood Park is, it's about 20 minutes from here. But and then you would float 12 miles or kayak if you want to do that. And it's just a fun-filled adventure. And it raises some money and awareness for the river restoration program that is the Coal River Group. And that is a very interesting project. I haven't floated the Coal River since they have created this. Mr. Holstein has floated the Coal River years ago, before there was an organization that was doing it and before they got it all cleaned up. So it is an interesting little thing to do. I have touched on before some of the things in the area related to the coal mine wars and related to the locks and dam and some fishing and things like that. I'll try to focus a little more on that to give you guys an idea of some of the things you can do when you come through West Virginia, and maybe you can plan to stay an extra day or so. Go down to the Capitol and look at our campus of the Capitol and different things. But I'll try to do a little more of that. So I don't have a lot. I mean, we had an infant swept away in the floods last week, and it was awful because people continue to think it's a good idea to drive through floodwaters. Just because you can see the road over here and the road over here, you think that everything that's underneath that water is still there. It is entirely possible that when you drive through that standing water, that the road has been washed away. And we had several instances. One of them, of all things, was a school bus driver that drove a school bus through standing flood water. Water got up to the first level of the first step on the bus, scared the kids plumb to death, could have killed them if that bus had floated off, because water is a powerful thing. We like to think we can tame it. We can't. We can't. If water takes an ocean, it's going to tear stuff up. And it's stupid to drive through floodwaters that's crossing the road. If you can't see the road underneath of it, you don't have any business driving through it. And an infant just a few weeks old was washed away out of a vehicle, and obviously, and the child died. It was awful. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it just upsets me to no end. that people take those kinds of risks, especially with their children. And then even if it's just you and you say, oh, well, what I do doesn't hurt anybody. If you're in a situation where emergency services has to come out to try to save you, you're also contributing to other people putting their lives at risk to save yours from a dumb decision. If your house catches on fire and they have to come in a house, I get that. It's not, unless you set the fire, it's not the same thing. If you intentionally drive through flooded waters, running water from a high, it's just dumb. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's that simple. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox there because it makes me angry because it just makes me angry. The only thing I'm going to say about the Ohio train derailment thing today is let Pete Buttigieg go out there, pour a glass of water from a tap from somebody's house, and give it to his child to drink. If he's not willing to do that, then don't tell those folks that's living out there it's safe to go back home and drink that water. As far as I know, Pete Buttigieg hasn't shown up there yet, unless he's done it this morning, and neither has the president. And they're telling those folks it's safe to go back. If Pete Buttigieg won't take his child out there, give that child that water to drink and let that child breathe that air, then it's not safe for any of them. And they need to step up and do better. So I'm going to jump on down to Bitcoin real quick. I still need my wallet, Ronaldo. Still need to get my wallet. I haven't done it yet. I'm not quite sure. I've got my 12 sentence, thing key, but I'm not really sure how to move all that. So I've got to work through getting it moved. Right now, when I checked this morning, Bitcoin, capital B Bitcoin, was at 24,700 US dollars for one. I have 148,657 Satoshis so far. So I'm a long ways from being a Satoshi millionaire, but I do have birthday money, if you want to call it that I'm going to put in by the end of the month. So I have 35,990 Satoshis in the Fold app. I have 3,030 Bitcoin Satoshis in the Bitcoin Magazine app, and I have 109,637 in the Fountain.fm app. And I know I'm okay with buying it. I'm okay. Like I've said it before, I'm not going to put more into it at this point than I would spend, going out to a movie or something. So I'm not putting my life savings in it. I'm not gambling, our house or anything away. But I do like the idea of investing in it a little bit and seeing how everything goes. So I do need the wallet. I do need I'll probably get the Trezor. I'm more familiar with that one, but I do need to get that. And I do need to work out all the steps and write down those steps for myself, not my key phrase thing, but I need to write down the steps of how to do everything until it becomes second nature. I mean, it's second nature for me to use a bank card to withdraw money from an ATM. It's second nature for me to write a check out of a checkbook. It's second nature to me to go to the bank or the credit union or whatever. This is not second nature to me yet. And even those things took practice. So again, there is a book, which I do have a link in the show notes, on 21 Days of Bitcoin. And there's also a book, Brian over at the Lots Project has an ebook on crypto generally. And it's also a good place to start. And I also have a link to the Lots Projects down below. So I want to touch a little bit on religion. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it today. We talked about it quite a bit between Brian, Josh, and I over on the Telegram app, just talking about the difference between religion and spirituality. And Brian started it with a question about morality and who determines what is moral and what's not moral. And that was his question of the day. He does a question of the day every morning. So we kind of were continuing that discussion. I've got some pretty well defined beliefs. Let me do the short version this way. I think religion is a thing of man. I think spirituality can be a thing of, well, I have a friend who says she's spiritual. She worships the universe. She prays to the universe. This is not, now we're friends. You know, we differ on this. She knows where I stand. I know where she stands, and we're okay with each other having differences. I don't I don't pray to the universe. I believe that religion is a construct of man, and it is used by man to justify doing forcing other people to do what they want under the name of religion. I follow the teachings of Christ. I don't apologize for following Christ. I'm not asking your permission. I'm not asking you to be okay with it. Totally up to you. You don't have to. It's fine. Do what you want to do. I believe in following the teachings of Christ. I don't necessarily agree with the teachings of religion. So, in the name of religion, men and women, but men tend to be the ones in the armies and things, have slaughtered and murdered other people in the name, they claim it in the name of Christ, but there's nowhere in the New Testament that tells us to go out and kill people for not believing in Christ. He doesn't teach that. He has been angry. And being angry is, there's nothing wrong with being angry. You don't sin while you're angry, but you don't take someone else's life because they don't believe the way you do. You pray for them. All throughout the New Testament, Christ is telling people, go and sin no more. Change your ways and follow me. One of the more popular examples is when Christ tells the rich man to sell all of his belongings and follow him. Was he telling him to sell them because it's a sin to be rich? No. He was telling him to sell them because the rich man worshipped his money and his power. And Christ was saying, get rid of all that and follow me. Because if you believe in me and you believe in what I'm teaching you, if you believe I'm the Messiah, then you will get rid of these things and you will follow me and follow my teachings. So that's where I'm at there. I'm not going to get too much deeper into it there. We're having this conversation that's never going to end over there, like the song that never ends. This conversation is never going to end over whether being spiritual is being religious, and whose religion and what religion. And one of the questions that was asked of me was, do you proselytize, I think was the phrase he used. But anyway, do I preach to my guests? No, I don't preach to my guests. I have certain pieces in my home that reflect the fact that I'm a Christian. If I'm asked about them, I'll share. If I'm not asked about them, I'm not forcing. So I'm not forcing anyone to believe. I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe. If they want to know where I get my strength, how I've gotten through all of the horrible things that I've gotten through in my life, I'm going to tell them I've gotten through all these horrible things by the strength and grace of God. Okay? That's it. Very simple. For you guys over on Clapper, you see I have a wish list over there? There's a wish list. Coffee and donuts over there. Anyway, I'm not, if you're not a believer, I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to tell you have to go to church with me on Sundays if you're here. If you mention that you do go to church, I'll say, if you'd like to go, you're more than welcome. And I'll leave it at that. So there are certain things that I wouldn't permit. I mean, I'm not letting people party in my place, and I'm not letting people, use drugs or anything else like that, anything illegal in my place. That's not going to happen. But I'm not going to force you to follow the things that I believe. At my church this week, although I am in a member of my local Methodist church, and they do have some things that I don't agree with, but that's okay. We're commanded to meet, and we're commanded to fellowship together. And even the apostles didn't always agree with each other. So, but this week is begins Holy Lent, and I almost said Holy Week. It's not Holy Week; it's Lent. And Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. Of course, today is Mardi Gras. For those of you who get into that, I don't. So we have our regular Bible study tomorrow morning, Bibles and Brunch, and we'll be viewing a film on the history of Easter. And this is going to be the good parts and the bad parts. It's going to be some of the paganistic worship practices that were part of the early church and things, and how we get to the Christian definition and practices of Easter in today's world. But then we're also offering a drive up Ash Wednesday service. So we will be doing the ash imposition for those who want to drive up to the fellowship hall. And we'll come out to the car. You don't have to get out. For those of you all who are in the local area, you don't have to get out. We'll come to the car and we'll go through a small service with you there. As much as we would love to have a larger service, we understand that not everybody can do that. So also, part of the frustrations that I'm having there at the church is our secretary treasurer has resigned. Well, she hasn't been to church services since about November, so I wasn't really surprised. But then again, I was. She sent me an email on Friday that she was taking her name off the checking account. She had already transferred all of these utilities email address to mine. She had just gone through and made all of these changes without meeting with the board or anything. So I had to get a hold of the district superintendent and talk to him about it, because I thought for sure it meant the church was going to have to close. You got to have a treasurer. Well, we had a laity meeting on Saturday, and I attended. That's the first one I've attended before. And one of the things that I got to speak to the district superintendent about before the meeting started was some options, and he has a couple of good ideas. We're going to reach out to one of the other Methodist churches in the immediate area and see if their treasurer will help us while we continue to try to reach the community and grow the church a little bit. So it was a very stressful 24-hour period of time from the time I heard from the treasurer that she was going to resign to the time that I got to speak with the district superintendent. And I feel a lot better about it. I feel a lot better about several things. So it looks like things are looking up for us a little bit anyways, at least not quite so bad. I'm still on track. I'll be interviewing Stan tomorrow afternoon. Stan used to work for the Division of Culture and History and Golden Seal magazine. He's an awesome fiddle player. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the history of West Virginia music and stuff. And I hope to have that up by the weekend if I can get it up there. Let's see. I'm not sure. As I get ready to close here, I am not sure if when the last time I mentioned those who have boosted the podcast on fountain.fm, but I'm going to run through these right now. HJ has boosted 1,400. Euphrosinus 1,000. Siggy 47 500. I'm going to welcome Siggy 47 to the podcast. He said he saw a boost that I did on somebody else's channel or podcast, which led him to mine, but he didn't say which one it was. And actually, I think HJ, I'm going to double check because I'm pretty sure you have boosted since then, like over the weekend. I may not have gotten all of those updated. And I'm pretty sure you boosted based on a comment that I made. I know you did. Where is it? Sorry if I got a little loud there. I try not to do that. Oh, yeah, HJ, those 400. I've already talked about that one. Your Frosters of Thousands. I talked about that one. Essence, 100 sats at Happy Mardi Gras birthday. Hope you become a sats millionaire by then. Interesting insight into the derailment. Cheers. Essence, I have not and probably won't make it by the end of today, but I have a plan. I should be able to have that taken care of by the end of the month. And iDad Dude boosted 500 sats because of a comment I made. I initially said breeding hips, but what I meant to say was birthing hips, and he thought that was hysterical. I guess it kind of is for somebody who's never heard it. And he boosted because of that. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of them, you guys. Your continued support is just, it means a lot. It really means a lot. So we premiered the podcast on the Fountain FM network. And if you found me on Fountain, I hope you'll boost and clip and share with your friends. I'd really be interested to know. I know a couple people caught my comment last Tuesday where I asked about what was your the first car that you ever drove. I would be interested to know what was the first job you had, not necessarily the company unless you want to share the company, because I don't want to get to where, people can start adding up stuff like birthdays and jobs and things and then try to, steal your identity and all that. But what was the first job you had? Not who it was for, unless you want to share that. But what was the first job you had? The first job that I had that paid on a W-2 form, which is the one of the U.S. tax forms, not like babysitting. I'm not counting babysitting, but was as a receptionist for a tax company. They had a local office, and I took the calls and I scheduled people's appointments with the tax professionals. I didn't work there very long because I was in high school and we had a trip. It was one of the more fortunate times in my life. I was able to go to Europe with the high school, and it was a program that started really early, and you were able to send in money here and there so that you added, I think I had to have $1,000 or something, which was a lot at the time. And it was a 10-day trip, and we flew out of Charleston into Pittsburgh, into JFK, into LaGuardia. Not LaGuardia. Yeah. No, Charles de Gaulle. And then to, rats. Is it Heathrow in England? I can't remember. Anyway, it was in London. But let's see. Yeah. No, we didn't fly into London. We flew to Paris. We spent a few days in Paris, Notre Dame, and all that touristy stuff. Then we took the ship across the channel to England, and then we stayed in London. Some of them went to Stonehenge. I think it was Stonehenge. I can't remember now. I didn't go. I was sick. The traveling I was just sick. I just didn't feel like going. So I didn't go. And then we flew back. I was really exhausted. I was so tired from that trip that on the way back, when they told us to lift up our tray tables, when we landed in New York, I slept through it. They couldn't make me wake up. I slept through it. I was exhausted. So, but that was the first job. I lost that job because I went on that trip, and that trip had already been paid for, and there was you didn't get your money back. You just didn't get your money back. So my parents had already paid for that trip, and I told them, I said, I'm not going to be here during this period of time. And they says, oh no, this is tax season. You can't be gone. I said, I'm going. They said, oh, you can't do that. you'll lose your job. I said, then I'll lose the job. I'm going because I was in high school, you know. So that was my first job. But then after that, I worked for a fast food restaurant. I worked for a fast food restaurant. That was, I was driving by the time I worked for the fast food restaurant, and I was driving myself back and forth. And it was okay. It was pocket money. It was cigarette money. I smoked then, and it was cigarette money. So, all right, now, if I can do this, I'm going to do something that's rather shocking, as they said on the movie Gone with the Wind. I think I'm going to sing my own happy birthday. I'm going to sing happy birthday to me in the style of Marilyn Monroe, maybe, if I can pull it off. Let me do this real quick because I'm dry. I did this one time, one of the places I worked for. I was grown by then and had children and everything, so I was working this job. And it was one of the guys' birthdays. And I was in between husbands, and I rang up his desk. It was on a dare. And they said, call up so-and-so and sing happy birthday. I said, okay. Let's see if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. I know I can. I just don't know if I can do it here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you. So if you heard that, low battery over here. We'll see you guys later on the clapper. Battery dying on the phone. So if you made it that far, tell me what you think. Happy birthday. It's a shame I have to sing my own birthday song. No, really, I don't. The very last thing I'm going to do, the husband, I told you last week at Valentine's, the only rule was that you had to have a card. Well, I got up this morning to my birthday card. And it says, you're a woman with dreams, plans, a point of view, things to say, and shit to do, and your own story to write. Here's to another year of doing you. Happy birthday. Love you, Wayne. So, and then one of the other little pet things we do, you probably can't see, but what he doesn't put my name on my birthday card. He puts to eat you. And to eat you is one of the native tongues for either woman or wife, and I think it's woman. I used to know what Mahigna, I think, is man. But anyway, you heard that, did you, Ronaldo? I kind of hope nobody would have heard it. But anyway, so I'm going to call it a day there. And I do appreciate you guys being with me. We've got just over an hour into this one. And I like to kind of keep it right at an hour. Plus, I have a lot to do. Now that the sun's out, the ducks and the chickens are all laying eggs. I've gotten an egg from every one of my hens so far this year, at least one. My ducks started laying one. The pecans started on Monday. No, the pecan started on Sunday. On Monday, the roan laid. All of my chicken hens have laid, including the one who has not laid a brown egg. She's a brown egg layer. She's one of my Isa Browns. She has not laid an egg since like the middle of August last year. Whenever she went broody the last time, she hadn't laid an egg since then. So she laid one yesterday because I had 2 brown eggs in the same spot. So I don't think the same girl laid both of them. Anyway, lots of good things happening. Sorry if there was a lot of glitching there on the video. We'll try to sort that out and make it better for Friday. Friday Live should be on time. Friday Live and Unscripted should be on time, 10 o'clock on Friday, if everything goes well. So there we'll stop. And thank you again. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.